Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Be the Media Huntington. My name is Jenny Lee, and tonight I have with me Miss Lisa.
Hello, everyone.
And tonight is September 25th, and Dana is not with us, and I've lost everything on my screen. I am not working well with this new program, Lisa. Okay, I'm back. So you'll notice Dana's not here. Dana is at the bond meeting for South Huntington School District. So she's going to be coming back to us. Maybe she might even pop on before we get off because we held ourselves over till 9:30. So she may even be able to pop in and give us an update about what happened there. That's a big issue in South Huntington. I heard it, can I say it this way? Billions and billions of dollars. No, it's lies. It's millions.
Billions and billions.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, but millions and millions of dollars. I hear from a lot of people they really need the upgrades. I hear from other people that just won't want to pay the money. So there's a huge mix of, but Dana will come back with all the stuff that she's absorbing in her brain tonight. So we had a wild week. Before the weekend, wasn't there some crazy helicopter incident going on down in your neighborhood, Lisa?
There sure was. All jokes aside with the social media, crap, a helicopter this, and is there a helicopter page? And, I had too many burritos, the stupid stuff like that. It was really scary. You're driving home, you're getting text messages. Are you okay? Cops swarm in the neighborhood. Get inside, lock your doors, lock your windows. But the crazy thing is that we're trying to look through social media to see if anyone could tell us maybe there isn't a mass murderer on the loose. There isn't a serial killer. It's okay, or there is.
Or they're just looking for like a lost kid. Like even Nixel sent that out. Should I be locking my door?
Right.
Like,
you don't have to tell us any details. We're not looking. We don't need to know every little thing. We don't need you to be giving away. I don't need to be telling social media, where the police are exactly. But we should just know something like you're okay, it's safe, or no, you really need to go hide in your house and close your windows. It's just common sense. It's just common sense.
It is, especially since we do have the technology.
We do have the technology. So when people are saying, what's with the helicopters?
If you're looking for a lost child, wouldn't it help if we all were looking? That's a good way to do it because I can see that, I don't know.
Right. Or if there was a missing person, if God forbid, grandma or grandpa has Alzheimer's and they got out of the house, wouldn't the community want to know? It's, some guy in a red sweatshirt, we could look out. We could be that community watch, that neighborhood watch.
But they do send out the silver alerts and they send out the amber alerts, but it's different when the helicopter goes up in the air and you're not getting some sort of alert that might coincide with it.
Yeah.
It's not just a curiosity factor. It's
especially when you have numerous streets in your neighborhood blocked off and there are police everywhere and a helicopter where your house is practically rattling.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me that's nothing, right? And we can't know anything.
Right. No, you're right. There should be a better system to alert the public to what their natural fear level should be. Is it warranted to lock your door and be prudent with that? Is somebody going to be jumping through the yard so you chase it?
Exactly. It's true. It's really true.
Or is it just a lost kid? A lost child with special needs or something like that. So, and then we should all be looking.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to, there is a update on the Fort Salonga. There you are able to comment. There's a comment period where you can send an email over to the planning department for Huntington and let them know how you feel about the project. And that period of time is up till October 18th. I either look sunburned and burnt
or see-through.
I look like President Trump, or I got to figure out this green screen thing. It's crazy. I'm going to be changing this. There's a reason it's up, even though I'm struggling with it. And if I get too close, I look like I just got back from the summer. So we're still trying to figure this out. Lisa's gonna get her equipment updated.
Yes,
So she can't access some of the features here, and then
I know. And I have such good pictures. I'd like to have the turtles behind me. Oh, that would be
yeah, we're
cute.
gonna put them on your curtain. But speaking of good photos, now I get to use all my bells and whistles. Yay! We went to Eugene Cook's fundraiser this Monday.
Yay.
Why don't you chat a little bit about that?
It was at Oheka Castle, and it
Oh,
was a lot of fun. And seeing Andre and Gene Cook together. Oh,
here's us.
I love it.
I love that one. I love the
I
staircase.
love that
It's one of my
too.
favorite photos to take, and I really appreciate that they extended the offer for us to go. That's all of us. There's Lisa.
And I love that red dress of mine.
I know, that's a cute dress.
I love that
Put it on
dress.
the list, you can see everything. Boop. There's all of us and my chair. So we did.
That was
We had a
fun.
good time. Andre was there.
Do it. Do it.
Mwah!
Yeah.
Mwah! We all know who I'm voting for. These two guys, these are my favorite right here.
I
This is it.
love that. That is awesome.
Oh, but
And I believe that they are going to be awesome for Huntington. I really do.
oh, are you kidding? If we can
All the
get,
things that they could actually get done.
and then
Oh.
think about it this way: if we get these two guys, well, get them both back in, and then we add this guy into the mix,
Oh, yes.
then think about like what's really. I would love to see him run for town.
Yeah.
I would love to see him run for town.
Yep.
But it was beautiful. I love being there. Well, there's us on the couch in the library.
I love that.
The library, we're taking some nice photos. But it was a beautiful night. The weather was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Republican conservative crowd.
Mm-hmm.
There was a good mix of, kind of, I don't know, it was a different feel than some of the other straight Republican events I've been to in the past where it's the same old characters. It wasn't the same old characters from just Huntington. They went up to county level, and I think somebody had said they saw Senator DeMauro there for a brief period of time. So the level of political people that were involved went up on a higher scale, if that makes any sense to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was nice seeing Andre there. We got to hang out with Jimmy McGoldrick.
Hey, Jim.
Hi, Jim. Oh, and I want you to know everything that we've ever said about Jimmy. We say to Jimmy when we're with Jimmy.
Yeah, there's no holding back.
There's no holding back. So when you hear that we brought something up and we've said something about him, know that he knows and we know that if we see him or we have seen him before, we're sharing this with him. He's the kind of guy that can really take the tough feedback and he's not insulted by it. He's well, it is what it is.
I think I actually made him blush a few times, didn't
Yeah, I think so, yes.
I think I did.
And then your friend Carl Lancera,
Landisera.
he was one of the sponsors of the event. What a hoot he is.
He sure is. He's the president of Americans for Legal Reform. One of the
Yes.
oldest reform groups out there. Almost 30 years actually of going on.
Oh, so we've been trying to plan some other things for you guys. We did send out, as promised, we sent out an email to all 4 of the council members. And we have heard back from all but 1. And shockingly enough,
Let me guess.
no, wait.
I want to say it.
The first one we heard back from was Kathleen Cleary, which I was shocked. And Andre and Jean, they're in the works as to when they can work it out, but we haven't heard from her. Nothing from Joan Sturgill. Nothing. So, but we did send it out to all of them. And hey, Joan, give us a call. You're going to be the only one out.
Put a message out on a barge. Just let us know.
Just, I love that, Dana. That's great. Oh, put a message in a bottle on a barge. Okay, so speaking of Jimmy McGoldrick, he's been posting everywhere about the CVS managers, and I think we brought that up briefly on the last episode.
I think we did talk about it briefly. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was during the public commentary, the managers had come down to talk to the town board members about the loitering issue.
Mhm.
And apparently Jimmy's talking and now to them, and they're saying like nobody's doing anything to help them change the laws that they themselves admit don't work. And the public safety, because Jimmy's saying public safety isn't enforcing it, but it's an enforceable law from what we're being told.
Give out those tickets.
I know, but for what?
Well,
Ticket,
there are a lot of
okay.
open containers going on. Can't you get a ticket for public indecency from whipping your thing out and pissing on the ground?
Well, I think so.
Well, I mean, if you could see the little Peter, can't you get a ticket?
I can't breastfeed in public, right?
Right, you have to
I don't
cover
have
up.
a baby, so I can't. But if I had a baby and I was doing that, I wouldn't be able to. Or is that you can? Or is that just an ongoing fight that they do? I'm actually still really upset that men can go outside and mow their lawns and show their nipples, and I can't. Like it's considered weird, you know, or oh my God, why is it okay?
Well, you can if it's cold out.
You see men all the time though, and it's just like they're in their natural state and nobody thinks anything about them being out there with no top on. But if a woman does it, it's somehow like either I need to stare at you or oh my God, I can't believe she was outside there topless. Like I'm topless, you're topless too. Like what's the difference? What's the difference? How did we even get here?
We're talking about little Peter sticking out, whizzing on the ground. And then you
I'm
went
mad about
off on
that. I'm mad. Like,
and the loitering. And I said, start giving out the tickets. Do something. You see them throwing that garbage on the ground, give them a ticket for loitering.
there is the cartoon. I think it's The Far Side that has the the cow with the baby cow underneath her. And she's got a blanket thrown over the baby cow.
God.
Oh man. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's something so natural is mocked so much, and we can't even do anything about the actual laws that they made that aren't being enforced.
Yeah.
It's crazy. In other news, we are moving right along. We have some upcoming important stuff that we wanted to mention. There's the C6 zoning hearing. It's on
Yes.
Wednesday, October 16th at the town.
Right.
It's either going to be a day or a night. I don't know. There was no time listed. I'm sure they'll have it on the town website.
Yeah.
But what we found didn't have it. And then the next night is the NAACP Meet the Candidates Night, October 17th. Is a Thursday. I believe it starts at 7. And our own lovely Be the Media Huntington, Dana, is typically the person who asks all the questions and stuff. So hopefully we'll be down there and we can cover some of it. I know we have brought it in previous years, but our equipment was really worse than it is now. It's better now. Like we have better sound stuff, but back then it was really rudimentary.
Just on the phones last time.
Well, we still do it on the phones, but we have better audio.
Yeah.
I got a green screen now.
I know. You've got lots of good stuff. You've got lots of toys.
You know what else we got this year was our tripod. And we do all this, by the way, this is a really good time to tell people that we don't monetize our videos. We do it for free. We don't make any money. We don't have sponsorships or anything this way. Our opinions are strictly our own. So when Dana says something, it's her opinion. When I say something, it's my opinion. Lisa, the same. So, we're 3 different flavors that come together and give you our different opinion on some of the topics that are, happening around us. But we're all only responsible for what we say, not what the other one says.
We're like Napoleon ice cream, vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh.
No, but there is no, I think it's important for people to realize, like, we're not you know, so when I say that we got a new tripod this year or we got a new microphone, we're self-funding that. So we're, you know, we obviously care about it if we're willing to make that type of investment to bring you all this stuff. In fact, I'm still crazy over, do you remember the one that we did? We did this long show,
Which one?
the psych building.
Yeah, Heartland.
Heartland, thank you. I'm sorry, her name was slipping me. She got held up for some reason because she had like one or two little errors in the beginning where she just missed a fact that wasn't right. I was like, and they made her scrap the whole thing and they wouldn't let her bring it out. So very, yeah, I kind of like want to
What?
scrub those pieces out or put a disclaimer because we put a lot of
Yeah, just put a disclaimer. By
and
the
that's when
way,
we went out and we got some of that extra equipment because we knew we were going to be filming on the scene, and I loved how some of that really came out. And it was a really good one. I think it was like 23 minutes of on the scene stuff at the Heartland.
that's where we filmed, like, you know, a lot of the police were telling us that the MS-13 are camping out in those abandoned buildings, boats,
Yes, it was
campers
really
that are abandoned on the property. That was,
a lot of
that's
heart
some
into
scary
that.
stuff up there.
So that's what happens when you have to operate under a group and you have to ask for permission, or it's one of these organized nonprofits or whatever. So that's why I say, like, we come here with our own opinions. We can say whatever we want. We can give our own opinion on the subject matter. We're just bringing you our view of things as we see them. And if you ever feel that, you know, there was some sort of fact that needs to be disputed, you feel free to contact us. We have handled a lot of that before where people like to send us messages that aren't always very nice. We've had a couple stalkers. They are fun always. But Legionnaires at the Northport VA. Did you hear about that one?
I just today, so I didn't even, did you read about it? I didn't read about it at all. I didn't hear the whole thing. I just heard the headlines. That's disgusting.
That's kind of like
Absolutely unacceptable. How the hell does something like that happen?
okay. I don't know whether you can see that or not because it doesn't put me in the corner.
These are veterans. How does that even happen?
Yeah. Oh, can you see it now?
I can see it.
Okay, so it's dated today, September 25th. Legionnaires bacteria found at Northport VA Hospital. Oh, let's see how good this works.
Robert Cornicelli.
Let's see how the sound comes out on this.
Disease, Northport VA. News 12's Andrew Anger has the story.
The Northport VA Medical Center treats as many as 30,000 patients a year. Now news that the bacteria that causes Legionnaire's disease was found at the facility has some concern.
The worst part about this is it's not a surprise.
Robert Cornicelli, a former Army captain and veterans advocate, says the discovery of Legionella pneumophila is troubling. The medical facility says on September 10th, as part of its routine water testing, 2 water faucets in its inpatient psychiatry unit came back positive for the bacteria. It says the area was shut down, sanitized, and is being monitored. No patients or staff, it says, have come down with Legionnaires. Senator Charles Schumer says he's been briefed on this
Oh, he's been briefed and it's stuck.
situation,
Oh.
adding, the bottom line is that the VA cannot and must not take their eye off this situation. Republican Representative Lee Zeldin echoed the concern, especially after several past maintenance issues at the medical center, saying, we must ensure we are not putting Band-Aids on this serious situation. Robert Cornicelli says this latest discovery is part of a systemic issue of disrepair and lack of facilities management at the medical center.
It's scary what really could be going on in that building that they haven't found.
The hospital says only staff members and patients in the psychiatry unit were informed about the discovery of the bacteria, not the entire hospital. Some veterans who use the facility here say they would have liked to have been notified as well.
At least the guys, the vets that go there who are subject to infections or whatever, are notified and they can take preventive maintenance.
In Northport, Andrew Enger, News 12 Long Island.
Wow. Okay. I'm glad I did the video. I hope it came out clear for everybody. That was a test.
I can see it on my end clearly, so I hope so.
Okay, good.
That's disgusting.
It really is.
They found that in water samples. Speaking of water,
Yes.
yeah, I don't know. Let's speak about the dirty water. If they have Legionnaires there, where else is it?
Well,
Where else are they testing it?
we've already had wells come back with it, and we covered this like a few months ago when they first brought the testing back. Sorry, I'm losing my hair again. That the wells down in Hale site had, and I mean, what's come of it? Nothing really.
Have they tested the water at town hall?
No, I think they said that they were going to do some improvements, but I haven't seen much movement. They had to put it through a vote for it, then they have to get the funding, and red tape, red tape, red tape. Well, Rome is on fire, pretty much. Crazy. Oh, you know what I've noticed a trend with? I want to go get over to Northport real quick. Oh, it's right there. How lucky am I? I've been noticing that a lot of the local news. Here we go. So this is the Northport patch.
Mm,
Can you see my?
yes.
Oh, good. Okay. This is the Northport patch. So the patch was started by Yahoo, right? And they started calling them the patch because they were going to get into micro focus on local news. That's why there's the Huntington patch, the Northport patch,
Right.
and all around the country. They're in Jersey, they're here, they're that. They're little patchworks of media that report the local news that's there. And yet, look what they're reporting on here. The Trump transcripts are out. Check out the latest question on the White House patch and tell us what you think. But this has become a trend with them, and we'll get back to that in a second.
A partisan trend at
Yeah,
that.
like they're even
Mhm.
framing some of their questions in a very, I can't find the one that I want right now. But also News 12, like they're doing the gotcha questions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're framing the questions to where it comes off in a very biased way.
Yes.
Like with the impeachment thing, there was one that was earlier that I was looking for and I just couldn't find it. I don't know, maybe they got so much negative feedback they took it down. But
Probably.
Northport, and there was a lot of negative feedback on what they put up there. We were like, oh, we all watched and read. Okay, so they came out. I guess we got to back it up, right? The
Yes.
impeachment of Donald Trump. Since the Northport patch is going to report on it, we're going to go ahead and talk about it, right?
Well, yep.
Let's go for it. Okay.
Local news.
We're going to do it too, since they're doing it. Okay. So they want to, apparently a whistleblower, AKA a leaker, right? Decided to leak a conversation that they weren't even part of. So Donald Trump had a phone call with the president of the Ukraine, and this was back in July. Okay. It was a congratulatory, you won your election, blah, blah, blah. They talked about, which was interesting. He brought up CrowdStrike and, Joe Biden and what Joe Biden had done in Ukraine. And what Joe Biden had done in Ukraine is it's nepotism, basically. He got his son Hunter a job and he got millions of dollars for this job. But he also did the same thing in China, also for Hunter. So there's a lot more than just Ukraine that's going on here.
Yeah.
But this specific impeachment issue, the newest impeachment issue, is over the phone call with the Ukrainian president. They built it up. They said, he's putting this entire country at risk, and they want to see the whistleblower. So apparently the whistleblower who somebody told, so when the president's having a phone call, there's lots of people listening in. That's how they have transcripts of the calls. So there's lots of different levels of, but the president can say pretty much whatever he needs to say. But somebody apparently said something to somebody, to this guy, right? So this guy comes out and says, oh, this is so horrible. They were talking about going after Joe Biden, and the president is colluding with another country to interfere with an election. And That's not the case if you read the actual transcripts. But so they all go bonkers over this. And Nancy Pelosi came out last night and decides to say that she's opening up her hearing for the beginning of the impeachment process, which is really bull, because the only way that a process for impeachment actually starts is if the House, because you have the House, you have the Senate, and then you have the executive branch, the presidency. So that anything that needs to start in government, you have to introduce a bill into the House, and it has to pass the House. This is for the dummies that don't know, because I hear this from so many people that don't understand the basics of why he's not getting impeached. It's not there. So you have to introduce a vote into the House, and normally for a bill, you have to pass it with, whatever with a simple majority. For an impeachment process, you have to pass it with 2/3 of the vote in the House. They don't have anywhere close to that, but let's pretend they did. Let's pretend they did. They have all these Republicans that are going to come over to their side and say, yes, we're going to impeach him because he asked the Ukrainian president to please give Barr any information that he wants. And the Ukrainian president said, we want Rudy Giuliani to come and stuff. Because I read the whole thing, and the guy said, my assistant has met with Rudy Giuliani, and we would like him to come back and help us. Because you have to remember what people are failing to realize is do you remember when Barr got appointed, okay, took over the office of Attorney General? Trump assigned him to look into how the hell this started to begin with. How did the Russian investigation begin? This is part of the investigation.
Yes.
Because it began over there. So this new Ukrainian president is basically saying he's going to cooperate because they got their own prosecutions going on with the Ukrainian ambassadors that they found were up to some silly business too. So you really got to read some of the Italian news, because this is also going on in Italy. You got to remember how complicated this spying ring was. It was Australia, the United Kingdom. It's this whole thing called the Five Eyes, the shared intelligence agencies. So in order to not have to keep a record within the United States of spying on a presidential campaign, they took it outside of the United States so they wouldn't have to have the same type. They tapped into foreign assets to avoid having to fill out any information that would have shown culpability on this end of things on this side of the pond. So the impeachment, I know it's crazy. So it's not an impeachment. It's not an impeachment until the House actually takes a vote and gets it passed through 2/3 of the vote. The reason they're not taking a vote and they're trying to create this political theater and the illusion of an impeachment is because it's feeding their base of people who have been struggling for an impeachment from the day he took office. I mean, they've been impeaching the motherfucker. Think about her. She went up to Rashida Tlaib, right? She said that. And this is all they're doing. So Pelosi goes out last night. She has a big press conference. She announces we're beginning the process of this. And we all woke up this morning and Donald Trump went ahead and declassified the transcript of the conversation between him and the Ukrainian president that they were saying it was an impeachable offense without ever seeing the transcript.
Right.
So that's how that all works. One thing you'll notice, so who has the majority in the House of Representatives?
The Republicans.
No, we have it in the Senate.
The Senate. Right.
Because the Democrats took the House back by the Justice Democrats elected that whole squad of people. They ran people specifically. They were actually genius. The Justice Democrats targeted, and we saw this in New York. It was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's district.
Mm-hmm.
What they did is they used their own identity politics routine against their own party. this progressive arm of New Democrats that are taking over the old Democrats. So the Justice Democrats is run by the Young Turks. Do you know who they are?
The Young Turks, I've heard of them.
The Young Turks, they're one of the largest YouTube shows on YouTube. They're very progressive. They're progressive media. So what they did is they targeted all across the states. And you know the top four, you know who they are: Rashida Tlaib,
Yeah, the squad.
Ilhan Omar, Alana, I forget her last name's escaping me right now, and AOC. So I'll use AOC as the example because I know that one very well. So they targeted spots that had incumbents that were old white men, and they were Democrats. And they took the diversity of the moment, and they ran a diversified candidate against these old white men Democrat spots in a primary, and took them out of their seats and made a big deal out of them then, and then threw all their funding at houses while Trump already went public and said they focused on the Senate because it allowed them to basically handle. The Senate is all judiciary. That's why he's up to his 150th appointed judge. So the Senate is largely in charge with that. But what we're not seeing is the Democrats they control the House. They introduce any type of legislation that would make it up to the president to be signed, right? So when you talk about the immigration issue, and kids in cages, right? Which is something that is a law. A judge has already determined that this is a law that only Congress can change. They have yet to introduce a bill to fix it. And the reason why is if they fix it, they don't have an issue to blame on Trump. They don't want to fix it. They want to complain about it and use it as a political issue.
I haven't fixed anything.
Nothing. So
The guns, the cages, the this,
the
the that.
Democrats are keeping the guns from going through, but they are also there. You want to talk about kids in cages? The Democrats are keeping them in the cages you think Trump put them in. That's the damn truth right there, because they're not introducing they're not doing anything. But now they're going to start all these impeachment hearings to give the illusion of an impeachment that they haven't voted for actual articles of impeachment. So it's all theater. It's not real.
It's fear mongering.
And people are going to fall for it.
Brainwashing. What else do you call it? It's so sick. When you were talking about oh, tell me I lost it.
On Long Island, news is
Crap, I lost it.
Which one?
When you were mentioning, oh, here it is. That they're talking about all this stuff that you were just educating us on about on hunting on the Northport patch. Hyper local. Even your News 12 3 hours ago, coming up on Nightside, Trump under fire for allegedly pressuring Ukraine to dig up dirt on Joe Biden, and bacteria that causes Legionnaires discovered at Northport VA.
Oh, so see how it just popped up. But,
Tune in at 7:00.
right, they're using the national issues to help draw web traffic to their right. I mean, that's basically what it is, but it's the way that they're framing it. And then what they're doing is they're misleading people. They're
misleading everyone, just like that jack-off ship. Mafiosos and what else was he saying? He was reading Ukraine president's mind.
Oh yeah, he was framing it like the mafia. Meanwhile, here's the reality of it. Rudy Giuliani took down the actual mafia. He was one of the best mayors New York City ever had, hands down. And now all of a sudden people are, oh, well, he's a Trump, he's a this, he's that. No, he was an amazing mayor. He took down the mafia. He's not running it now for Trump. That is just a ridiculous statement.
Oh my God.
They're investigating how this investigation got started. And what I think the big problem is people for 2 years, 3 years at this point, were told very specifically by people like Rachel Maddow and on this fabrication of a story that didn't happen. So these people still believe that narrative, and they're having a hard time struggling with, well, how did this actually, they weaponized the top layers of our government to control the outcome of a presidency. And regardless of who that person is, whether you like them or not, you cannot have an unelected appointed government that's able to be weaponized against somebody you elected or didn't elect, but somebody did. He still won, and if it was Hillary Clinton and the opposite had happened, it would have never have been her. She was a criminal. She was the Democrats. That was the biggest problem. Is Hillary Clinton was a horrible candidate.
Well, she made me vote for Trump.
Easily, it's true. You were a Democrat back then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've been voting Democrat since I was a teenager. I voted how my parents voted, and I really didn't pay much attention to it. But I was a normal Democrat. There's no normal Democrat anymore. There's no normal
No, there
C
isn't, because
in the
that's the,
Democratic Party. There is. That's dead.
that's
It's
the
completely dead. They're lunatics.
that's the infiltration of the Justice Democrats, the progressive group that is run by the Young Turks. Like, people aren't making this connection. We've been told over and over again after the 9/11 attacks, America won't be taken from the outside. They tried their best. They said from that moment they needed to infiltrate our politics. Now, just because AOC doesn't look like she's part of the Muslim Brotherhood does not mean that she's not coming from this funding behind it from the Justice Democrats. Remember, every one of these people that you see, they tried out. They went to an audition. Because they wanted to put forth a personality that they could give talking points to, and they could run for office. This way, they are technically controlling the money behind that. You cannot tell me that Ilhan Omar is not controlled by foreign money when she is funded by CARE, the Council on Arabic Relations with Islamic relations. And you have to remember, though, that is an extension of the Muslim Brotherhood. And what they do is they cover it with different layers and different layers and different layers. So the typical person who's just going about their normal life doesn't really see that far down of how this was manufactured, turned into a movie, and played for them. And they were, over time, conditioned to believe that this is what they were supposed to vote for. They went against their own party. You can't vote for that old white guy. Look, we have a young brown girl over here. We know she's a bartender. But listen to her. She's going to do the Green New Deal. Meanwhile, the people writing it behind are part of the Young Turks, the Muslim Brotherhood, and all this stuff. That's how they're infiltrating politics. Right. Do you think they're going to come out in turbans screaming Hail Allah and take you over that way? They're not going to do it like that.
No.
They're going to come out and, it's going to be a soft sell until you don't realize, and it's too far gone at that point. But that's the business behind the Justice Democrats. The Justice Democrats, the Young Turks, CARE, Muslim Brotherhood. That's the funnel of the money below that. And they test drove their new model of trying out women of all sorts of different colors and running them against old white men on their own party line. And they're picking these people off one by one. They did it because they took the House back in 2018 by strategically seeing which seats they could target out of the 435 seats in Congress. They specifically targeted them. And they did well. I mean, they got like 12 people, and you only hear from about 4 of them that they call the squad. But they ran like 17 candidates, and they got like 12 in different districts. And that's and next time it'll be 30. And then eventually the Democrat Party is not going to be what most moderate Democrats thought it was.
It isn't already. That's why
That-
they want Biden out.
Right. And this was right before Trump got elected. There was still a little bit of normalcy in the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
It completely broke down, but they are allowing it to be rebuilt by something that's not them. It's very, very, it's fringe crazy. You're going to have the fringe on the right that are crazy. You're going to have the fringe on the left, but
Sure.
this fringe on the left is taking over.
They are taking over. Trump just speaks and their brains get smaller.
They're coming from a place of emotion and not logic.
Big time. You can't even wear a red hat, for Christ's sake.
Yep.
They want to bash your brains in because you're wearing a hat.
Yep.
Because you have a flag. You have a bumper sticker. Insane.
The whole flag thing kills me. I just never thought I would see a day where the American flag is considered racist.
Yeah.
That really kills me.
So today, if the Democrats have, I don't even know how to say it. Yeah, so you can't have an American flag. If you have an American flag, you are assumed to support our president, which there's nothing wrong with that. But it's an assumption, and to a lot of people, especially where we live, it's most people look at it as a threat. It's offensive.
It's offensive.
Offensive. That's the word I was trying to look for when I got tongue tied. It's offensive. Everything's offensive.
My daddy brought me up, and he always told me you cannot legislate based on emotions, and being offended is an emotion.
Yeah.
The new left is trying to create a new reality where the old rules don't apply. Like the Me Too movement, where somebody's guilty, has to resign, step down, or is just guilty simply based on an accusation.
Mm-hmm.
That's not okay. Women need to be heard, but we can't restart Salem witch trials, which is what's happening. These are like the Salem witch trials. You're accused of being a witch. Nobody can prove that you're a witch, but we're going to burn you anyways because you scare us. There's a fear factor there.
Well, that's what's going on right now with this bogus unimpeachment event.
Right.
The same thing.
Well, I mean, this is the 7,386th impeachable cause since this man was elected. I mean, we were all kids. We all heard it. The little story of the boy who cried wolf. Eventually, nobody believes you anymore, and then the wolf comes around and eats you.
Yeah. Well, take for example, we talked about how they're not doing anything. We talked about they're not doing anything about gun reform. Didn't they rush back from their month vacation because they needed to take care of this gun reform?
And don't forget, they have.
What about those poor
majority.
kids in cages? They're still sitting there, right? Because they're not willing to work.
They're not
work
introducing
anything
a
out.
bill.
And what about Kavanaugh? Didn't some new gross, crazy allegation come out last week? That's over with.
They're
Everything
trying to
they
get-
start, it ends. Everything is a dead end. They should just take all their heads, go to the brick wall, and just start pounding on it already. It's insane.
I don't even know why that came back up. I couldn't understand it.
But not only that it came back up, I could understand that it came back up because they're crazy, but the fact that it died so quickly. What is that all about?
Well, Trump went to the United Nations, and
That's right.
Doing such a good job at the United Nations that they had to pull out this whistleblower story. Because when you think about it, this happened July 25th, right? So why is it coming up now in September? Well, if you read the transcripts, you get the answer. And the answer is that the president of the Ukraine pretty much said back in July, because Trump had said you need a new prosecutor. It was a shame what happened to your other prosecutor that, Biden pretty much said, and Biden admitted that
Yes.
I pressured
admitted it.
guy to lay off the case. Otherwise, you're not going to get the money. And he said, you can't do that as the vice president. And he bragged. He's like, yeah, I can't. Watch me. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then he goes, "A son of a bitch! Look, he got fired."
Son of a bitch got fired. Just like that. He's bragging about it. So Trump talking about that in the context of, you know, when he said, congratulations, you got elected. Thank you for telling me about, I think her name's Nastalia Vidalia was the ambassador. There's so many of the characters. I may have that name wrong, but I may have it
That's fine. We get the point.
wrong. But she's being prosecuted. So, so there's a lot of people over there that are being prosecuted. You don't hear about the news talking about all the people that have stepped down, or, oh, like in Italy, all those people that have. So there's a lot of secret agents that are now just being replaced. And
Well, of course the president's got to bring it up. Nobody else is.
right. So he's having this conversation with him, and it comes up in context of, you know, I hope you get a good prosecutor. And because you're going to have to work with Barr, because we have this, we already have
Yeah.
an investigation going on. But it was crazy to me. Like, people don't put it together, like that this is actually about the Barr investigation, which is great because it shows that,
Which is why he was hired, like you said.
right. So it shows there's movement. But the reason they were talking about the prosecutors, because he had said in September, I will be appointing my new prosecutor. So it makes sense that everybody's going a little crazy now because we're at the end of September. That means he appointed his prosecutor. They
Yeah.
already probably started an investigation that nobody knows about into what happened with all that stuff. And they're going crazy. So what do they need to do? They need to get ahead of the bad news. So they dropped this whistleblower story, which is just, it's a guy who wasn't even party to the conversation that heard something from somebody else. You can't impeach on that. There's no impeachable offense that was done. You're
Did the
actually gonna-
whistleblower come out? Was the whistleblower announced after the mental case Biden bragged about the
Well,
prosecutor?
No, he bragged about that years ago.
Oh, he did brag about
That's
it, but not,
new. No, that's not new.
but
That's
no one ever heard about that until now.
well,
Most people anyway, paying attention.
right.
A whole new generation of people paying
He
attention.
was at he was at the Council on Foreign Relations. Everybody has their little meetings. He was,
Oh, yes, you're right.
it was
But
at the Council on Foreign Relations, and he was bragging about how he got the prosecutor fired based upon withholding $1 billion in foreign aid.
when did the whistleblower crap come out?
Right before Trump's big thing at UN, and we got our new friend
Right. Okay.
Greta.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
there was a couple things, and I also questioned, like, how did this 16-year-old get all this?
Antifa member?
Well, I mean, beyond all that, let's say she's a legit 16-year-old and really wants to fight the planet from becoming extinct.
Right.
That's a whole new subject of, you know, spreading more fear and making people think that we're actually dying when nobody's going extinct. But how did she, as a 16-year-old girl, all of a sudden get audience with Congress, get audience at the UN? I mean, she's literally standing behind the president of the United States. You can't get there by accident.
Right. of course.
Somebody put you there. Honestly, if my daughter
There's
had,
a lot of people with good ideas who write and write and write
Right.
and write
how did
letters
she
and never
get
get answered.
special audience? And all of a sudden, there's all this focus on her. She's a superstar. I always say, if they're all saying the same thing, somebody isn't thinking, or it's propaganda. If they all want you to believe something. So I just, there's something, it's too condensed, it's too much. There was it all seemed very orchestrated, right?
It
So
takes,
First,
yeah.
they bring out the girl at the beginning of the climate change portion for the UN, because somebody put her there. And all of a sudden she's in Congress. And then while the UN thing is going on, we're going to break the whistleblowing story, because he had to go a live conference while he was there and saying, listen, we can't do that. I'm just going to declassify it so you can see for yourself. It's stupid. So it's like they built it up before. They added some other, it seems very orchestrated. Everything you're watching, you'll always have to remember, is political. It's political theater.
political warfare
No, it's political theater.
and theater. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt about that. It's hard to follow too. It really is.
I follow it so that you guys don't have to.
And you've explained it so well. You really have. I mean, I've been listening to this for the last like 48 hours nonstop with between the 16-year-old and then all this.
Yeah, see, it's just today's drama, gone tomorrow, gone next time, to be forgotten.
Yeah.
So before
But
we,
one thing that is forgotten, and it's pretty sad, is all the things that Trump was talking about today, all the things that he's done, all the things that he's been getting done tirelessly, morning to night, till the man passes out.
did
All
you
the things that he
see,
has done.
did you see the press conference he had
Yes,
with
I
the
did. I
president of El
listened.
Salvador?
Yes, I did.
No,
Everywhere in the world.
This
Where has he
the
not?
news isn't covering that.
Nothing.
He went to
nothing.
El Salvador because our Congress won't act on any type of immigration reform whatsoever, which has been needed since Reagan. Reagan was, they tried to do it with Reagan. It became an amnesty thing. So it was never really fixed even from them. So it goes back that far.
It's not fitting their theater. It's not fitting in their theater right now. So, yeah. But I listened to word for word while I was cooking for my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. This evening. I was listening to it, while I was cooking, and it broke my heart. I mean, love him or hate him, give me a break. This man is working from sun up to sundown for us.
And we need to protect that new president of El Salvador. He really targeted on and knows the problems. He's totally in sync with, like, we can't help the people when the drug lords are running everything. And I've always said, we can't just let the immigration thing, we have to fix it at the source. Nobody's ever talking about why people are fleeing their country, and their countries are beautiful. Nobody wants to leave their home.
I know.
There needs to be help there. We can't take in everybody. We need to say, well, why don't we fix your house so you don't have to move out? Like,
Exactly.
and that's what he's doing now with, and he also met with Guatemala, with the guy from Honduras. He met with all of them, and they've all signed at the UN. They all signed a conditional agreement
Yep.
on the asylum issue. That because Congress won't act on anything, so they're all going to start to work with each other to kind of. So the asylum issue, when you claim asylum, you basically, you're fleeing your country because you fear for your life. That's the asylum thing. And it's always been the 1 foot policy. So when you have 1 foot in the next country, you can claim asylum because you're scared, but you don't get to country shop. So you don't get to like hop around until like, oh, Australia's really nice. Yeah, this was cool. I think I'll stay here, even though I'm not a citizen. You can't do that. So the conditional agreement that they talked about that they were signing was enforcing the 1 foot policy, so that you're not seeing people come up in caravans and collecting more people and growing into hordes and trying to storm the border like you were seeing. Because think about what you have to cross, 1, 2, 3, right? All those countries to
Yep.
get into Mexico to come here.
Right.
So you have violated the 1 foot policy at least 3 times if you came from the furthest.
Hello.
Right. So, I mean, this is basics. This is
I mean,
basic.
if I could figure that out,
Right.
anybody can.
The other thing that's broken, they don't like the kids in cages. But what happens is they're detained. And they're detained. It's the catch and release program that he always talks about, not just with the criminals where they got to let them go, but there's a different one where you've come in, you've claimed asylum, you have a child. They have to separate you. It's into age, gender, and they're not cages. They're metal fences, and they're holding facilities. They're not meant to be permanent facilities. It's a processing center where they process you for a certain amount of days. So the Flores Act.
Not a kennel.
No, it's not a kennel. It's a processing center. You're supposed to come in and go out. But because they put in all these laws like the Flores Act, that is the child separation policy. They won't change that.
Yep.
All they have to do is change that, and the child separation policy is over. I have to say, I support the child separation policy right now, only because based upon the extreme numbers of children, they're doing DNA, they're all children, all girls over the age of 12 are receiving a pregnancy test
Mhm.
because they're being raped on the way here. That's the truth.
Yep.
But part of the process when they come through, all girls over the age of 12 get a pregnancy test, and all children, regardless of age, get a DNA test. They're finding that a third of these kids do not match the DNA of the adult that they were accompanied with. So I'd say for now, until that situation is taken care of, I support the child separation policy because it keeps the children safe.
I
That's how I
agree.
feel about it. I mean, they're definitely trying to paint it a different way, and I think a lot of these laws had a lot of good intentions, but times have changed since they were done, and we need Congress to get in and start doing better by us. So,
Amen.
oh, and on that note, guess what time it is?
What time? Let me see.
It's
Oh my God.
just like that.
That went really fast. You know, you
Yes.
start talking about, yeah, it goes really fast.
Yeah, Dina didn't make it, but that means next week's show she'll be able to update us on all the bonds and all that other
Yep.
stuff. Before we go, however, I have to shamelessly plug my obsession. I forgot to do it in the beginning. The Huntington Marching Band home show is Sunday, October 6th. We have 10 performing bands. And you got to come down. I'm going to be talking about this till it's over. Just so you know, I'm going to bring the flyer and everything. I shared it on our page. Come down, support us. We're putting on a great show. You know, the marching band kids, they're the best. And I always say one of my favorite ones is Brentwood. I love the Green Machine. You know, their marching band, my daughter and I talk about, she's like, their color guard's so huge, their band's so huge. It's the best thing that school has going for the students. Newsday did a whole write-up on them. I cried watching the whole thing last year because in spite of all the challenges that Brentwood has with the gang problems and the low income ratio, the huge illegal population that saturated that area, the gang issue that comes along with it. The bright shining star in Brentwood has always been their marching band, and their kids are just, I get to see their kids and talk to their kids because we're all like there and we talked to, I talked to everybody. So, but they're just so sweet. And I don't know, we shared a lot of the same problems with Brentwood. So they're going to be performing. We're going to be performing. Come see us. Come see me. Come, I don't even know. Maybe they're going to have me handing out pickles or soda. I don't know. I'll do anything for the band. But October 6th, come. I think it's like $8 to get in. I don't know. I'll let you know as we get closer. But
Sounds like fun.
that note, I hope everyone enjoyed tonight's Huntington View.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good evening.